Well, hello everyone. And it's been a few months since I've got a video out, and today I've got a very important co-host because he's apparently come out of retirement. And we have Ian in the house. So, hello, Ian.
Hi everyone. Yes, it's been a while since I've been here presenting anything to the wide internet, to the YouTubes, to the other socials. It's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of baby raising up and children for me and marriages and more family stuff. But now I'm getting back into presenting with, let's say,
I do
let's
hope you're
let
a bundle of joys.
yeah, obviously it's it's
Now
only
he
have
has more than one, so yeah.
yeah, I have two, so it's a handful, but hopefully we have some good astro knowledge for you guys today, so it should make up for the time that was lost.
And I was actually thinking that now that transit Jupiter is already in Cancer for a number of days, and the topic is very much in sync with whatever that we are discussing today about relocation astrology, particularly astrocartography. So, um, because the thing is that even before transit Jupiter actually hit Cancer, I've already got clients that ask me or who wants to book in for a relocation astrology to look at where they need to live. And with the current political climate that we are in, it is no wonder that, people are just wanting to make the most lemonade out of the lemons that they have using their charts. So Ian has got some slides for us, which will make it much easier to understand. So take it away, Ian.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think me similarly have had many clients come to me say, "Oh, where, how, what," and it's the basics of astrocartography are not that crazy complicated. So
Yeah.
you can make quite good decisions with very simple knowledge. So hopefully we can do a little bit of that. I will share my screen in a second and share some of the slides as well. Okay. So hopefully you can all now see it.
Very much
Maybe.
so. Yeah.
So yeah, do's and don'ts of astrocartography, some best practices for you guys to know what you're doing. Even if you know very little astrology, I think you can use it because there's free software out there that allows you to plot the astrocartography as well. So let's dive in and little bit about the agenda, like some introduction and why we would even want to do this, some overall guidelines, and we're going to go through with Donnie some external do's and don'ts, internal do's and don'ts. They might overlap here and there because some planets will affect both the external experience and internal experience, but I've decided to kind of divide them up a little bit to make it more clear, because sometimes it's a very much an internal experience in some place where you're going to, and there's not a lot externally, might not be a lot of things happening. Okay, so the main question we need to answer first and foremost is like, why are we even doing this, and why should anybody do this? Is it career, is it relationships, like overall happiness? A lot of people right now, especially, they want to feel emotionally safe and secure because there's not a lot of that going on in the world. So if we want to relocate only for career, ambition might not be the best place for us emotionally, and be very secure for us, or we might even feel very anxious and agitated in that place when the Uranus is on the IC, for example. So we need to define and answer the question why. Yeah, so external internal influences, how do we want to feel, how do we want to be? And I think when you really start to understand what's going on in the world and how, let's say, the energetic world works, it really opens up the understanding of why or how we feel is the most important thing. Because when we feel a little bit better, it's easier to create the external circumstances as well. So really important to feel good. I don't know, Don, do you have anything you want to add, say, to the
Um,
introduction?
I think that it all boils back to our natal potentials, what's already encoded there. And for example, if you do have a lot of hard aspects to the moon, and if you're planning to relocate to a place to feel safe, there will always be a lingering paranoia or be like a lingering feeling that something's not right. But having said that, we got to look at the natal chart and what it promises. And so when we do the relocation, we can, in attempts to maximize that. But if you natally have a lot of hard aspects to the moon, then of course, we got to knock that down a few notches. But having said that, relocation does provide what it aims to do, to basically maximize certain potentials by bringing certain natal placements to angles or to certain better houses, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because you cannot really escape your, natal plans completely. We can, like Donny said, we can enhance them and we can make them a little bit better, maybe bring in a better influence so that we don't feel only the negative influences. Yeah, some general guidelines I really want to go over. It's really hard to get everything perfect, especially if you have, quite a lot of hard aspects in the chart. It will influence the new place as well. Focus on what you really need and want in this moment in time, especially because Uranus is moving into Gemini. My understanding of a lot of what's going to happen during this time and more later as well is there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of people are going to move quite quickly and abruptly to places. So we need to be flexible. So some places enhance something, other places enhance other things. Pick accordingly what you need currently in your life. Sometimes you need more healing, sometimes we need more ambition and career and money, etc., etc. So a couple of other important things is, this is actually the slide or the image of an astrocartography chart, let's put it that way, is of my chart. So unluckily, I have a Jupiter MC line on Greenland. So, for example, let's say if you want to enhance your career life, that's a really good place to be when Jupiter is on your MC. But most likely, you don't want to move to Greenland. This is especially right now when there's a lot of let's say talk of overtaking Greenland, and who knows exactly what's and who is going to do what there. But you know we need to pick realistic places most often than not, and there's nothing really you can do about if your Jupiter MC line is going through deep Alaska. You most likely don't want to go there. Sometimes some people want to. Now, if you also have a family, if you have other people relocating with you, definitely need to check their charts, because they're going to be influenced in different ways. You want to be prepared for it, especially when you have children, when you have a wife, spouse, husband, whatever. You're going to want to look at their charts as well, because it will, like, some of it you can pick up from your chart. You can see your fourth house, what's going on there. You're going to see how it influences, but it's good to look at everyone's charts. I think the next one Donny already mentioned. It's basically just avoid as much negative aspects or negative placements as you possibly can, and focus on what you need where we define it,
or at
at the beginning.
least for the hard aspects, if you can find a relocation chart that places the hard squares in a cadent house, as in houses third, sixth, ninth, and 12th, it will be ideal. Yeah, that's one of the like loose guidelines that I have for myself when I look at clients' chart. And funnily enough, I've got my Jupiter MC line crossing over Taiwan. Yeah, guess I won't be going there anytime soon because I don't have any draw as well. And also, one important thing uh, to note that the cultural aspects of relocation, it is no use to go to a place where you can't culturally assimilate. Because I've got some clients that, oh, the best place for you is some place in Southeast Asia, and they are just giving like, a whole list of things why I don't think I can assimilate. So there's that factor as well, the human factor on a cultural level that we need to look at.
100%. Like this is where really like the logic and rationale come to play. You can't really, force yourself to be okay with certain cultural events. Definitely, like culture shock. As someone who's has relocated, personally, culture shock
I
is
think
a
that's
real thing.
why one of the main questions I ask is that how culturally flexible are you to adapt? So if I actually name some places and you know that hell no, I'm not going to adapt, then it's kind of no point, even though that place offers energetically from an astrological point of view using astrocartography so many good things. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be amazing, but let's say if you even if you are personally flexible, but somebody in your family is not, so that again it raises the problem and question. So you have to define the places. Sometimes it's even better to define the places of where you would culturally be okay with, and then start with the
And make the most out of it.
astrocartographer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically just get the best placements you can. Okay, I think we can move forward. Like, let's start with some of the more positive things, like the external do's that we want. There's let's say more of these. Maybe one thing from a general guidelines perspective is it's still like underneath all of this astrocartography, it's still regular normal natal astrology. So we're still reading like the natal chart as well, in the new location. So the general guidelines that we want in a natal chart still apply here. Like we want planets in their houses of joy, and we want them strong. So let's start with some of these. Venus descendant line, depending on what you want to do, it definitely will ease your romance, cooperation, business dealings. There's much easier to meet people, and there will be more pleasant. If your Venus is obviously a little bit weakened, it can be some of the same in that place, but it's still Venus in its own house. It will be a little bit better. Yeah, get good for dating, marriage, client relations, diplomacy. But I also want to add here like deal making, because a lot of in my, let's say, career, I still make a lot of deals. I have to make a lot of deals. So when Venus is, let's say, even transiting my seventh house, it's much easier to do. So sun ascendant line, I do like it as well, especially if you maybe have low confidence issues. Definitely can boost it. Vitality, visibility, also, because a lot of the times, people live in maybe darker places. I've lived in quite a dark place. Estonia is quite a dark place most of the year. So if you're lacking vitality, for example, you could definitely look at the sun ascendant line. yeah, it also added here, reinventing self-image, leadership, personal branding, all good things, depending on what you really want to do. And for people who don't have these, let's say, these qualities maybe naturally in their natal chart, and you're like, I don't know, maybe you're apprehensive. Like, this is where I can really say that these things, astrocartography really works, especially if you're there for, I would say, more than a couple of weeks. You will start to see bits and pieces, and when you're there longer, months and months and years, you will obviously, this will start to take over. Just if you have apprehensions about this. Okay, Jupiter midheaven, another good one that we kind of discussed already. Definitely, this is one of the biggest ones configurations I've seen when people are famous, like a lot of people who are famous and have a lot of, like say, external worldly visibility, and they have Jupiter on their midheaven, and career doors open easily. Like public reputation is more, even if the Jupiter is a little bit weakened, it just widens it, and your brand, your business, you can be seen out there in the public. A good things to do: promotion, starting, scaling a business. Like an honorable mention here would be like teaching, especially like if you're teaching spiritual matters. Again, Jupiter, like Rudolf Steiner, for example, has Jupiter on the MC. If I remember correctly, Michael Jordan just comes to mind. There are other people. Michael Jordan has Jupiter in Cancer, on his midheaven, if I remember correctly. But I think he has it on the midheaven. So this is a really good one to go towards if you can, and if you want to expand your career. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
just as the previous slide, the because you did mention about um, putting the planets into houses of their natural joy. So, for example, like on top of like Venus descendant, you can also put Venus in a second house, depending what you want to maximize, and also Venus in its house of joy, which is the fifth house. The sun will be like its natural domicile will be in the fifth house, but in its house of joy will be the ninth house. Jupiter, of course, its natural house that it belongs to is the ninth house, but its natural house of joy is in the 11th house. Yeah.
Definitely, like if you can't get the descendant or whatever MC lines, look at the next best thing. Maybe you can get it into the 10th house. Maybe you can get it, like Donnie said, into the house of joy. Like all this helps basically. So some other external do's that we want, like Mercury midheaven. I maybe started thinking about this. Maybe even Mercury AC line is a little bit better, because then Mercury will be in the first house, in its house of joy, and it's real. Like when I see Mercury first house people, like their communication is really strong. They can really well convey their ideas quickly. Okay, yeah, if it's a little bit difficult, like the Mercury aspects or whatever, and the strength, it can be difficult, but it already, when it's in the first house, it starts to enhance your communication in a public sphere. Now, midheaven, similar. You will be able to convey your message better to the let's say public. Yeah, so good for writing, media, PR, marketing, sales, really good. Yeah, networking. Again, Mercury is really good for networking. Jupiter descendant line. I like Jupiter descendant line as well. It's especially if you're looking for, let's say, partnerships, new partnerships, and you've had a difficult time, maybe with relationships, with making contracts. Maybe the contracts are constantly blowing up in your face and they're not working out. Jupiter comes in and starts to really help you with that. And again, good for mentorship, wisdom growth. These are good things. Coaching, mentoring. Like a lot of you guys most likely were watching this on Donny's channel or my channel. You are most likely either working towards or maybe even already a coach, some type of mentor, maybe a teacher. And again, it will expand your clients, definitely. Jupiter in the 7th house. Now, maybe an honorable mention, if you're going that way, is Jupiter in the 8th house will expand the resources or money coming from the clients. So this is very specific already, but a good to have Jupiter on the descendant line. Okay, so Sun midheaven. Again, Sun in the 10th house. Basically, when we're doing it, let's say Sun midheaven, Sun in the 10th house, we're basically saying, I want to be a leader. I want to have my own business. Now, for some of you, it can mean a promotion to let's say a leadership role in a company. For some, it can be starting your own company, or depending on the sign, being more in the public eye with the performing arts, entertainment roles as well. So Sun midheaven again allows you to shine. Let's say it allows you to shine your light in a more wider way. Venus midheaven. What I've seen with Venus midheaven is really, I think, important, especially if you want to be accepted and your message accepted with a wider audience. Because what I see very often is like these people put out their message, they put out their whatever they're writing, their products, their videos, and they're quite, especially if the Venus is at least decent, they're quite well received. So people, almost immediately love and enjoy what they have to say, even if you're like there, I'm not sure about this. But the main point I have is people are more accepting of what you are to say, and there's less public fighting and aggression towards you. So it's more of a pleasant atmosphere in the social sphere. So this is definitely good. Again, to do PR for creative industries, elevates definitely your career. Very supportive public acceptance are just in I'm a little bit difficulty in finding the right word, but maybe let's keep it at supportive
Public
public
image will
image.
be more smoothed over. Yeah. As well. So I think this is the only thing I want to add regarding this slide.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of things here that we want. Like basically what we're doing here a lot is we're putting like the more positive influences towards or near the big angles, the important angles that affect our lives greatly. Now, depending again what we want to do, it's important to basically navigate this. Now, some honorable mentions here is like the IC, but we will get to the IC as well with the internal
Yeah,
ones.
because not forgetting that angles of the chart are powerful points of manifestation.
They're very powerful points of manifestation. Like most of you in the spectators seat right now, you've experienced strong big transits to your angles. It will be quite big. Usually the events are massive, compared to, let's say, just a regular transit in a house. Okay, some external don'ts, because now you can see on the right the imagery kind of changed to a bit of a darker type person with shackles on. Now we're talking about a little bit about difficult aspects and difficult planets. So Saturn descendant line, which is again comparable to Saturn in the seventh house. Now Saturn in the seventh house is a bit of a tricky one, because Saturn is, let's say, house of joy, or sorry, Saturn is exalted in Libra. So Saturn is decent in the seventh house because of that Libra connection. Now, when is still close to the descendant line, the partnerships that will come are there to be, let's say, nurtured or nourished in a very practical and earthly way. So what I mean by this, if you go there, you're going to have a lot of actually partnerships, business partnerships turn up. So I've seen this happen, but they're not going to be like these Jupiterian type things where you just, they come out of the skies. It's more like you have to seek them out. You have to do more work. They can feel just very heavy duty, like they can be, old people who are quite stern. Now, why it's good is they can actually be there for the long term if you put in the work. But with Saturn, it's always like if you put in the work, then you get the rewards or the results out of it. But it will feel hard work. Now, your relationship, like marriage partnership, it can definitely feel more like work and duty. And Saturn can sometimes limit things as well. So let's keep that in mind. So limit relationships sometimes, hardships in partnerships, but can build long-term commitment, and like mastery in relationships. It's maybe the positive ones if you happen to have Saturn there near the descendant line. Okay, Pluto midheaven. Honorable mention Pluto AC line. So Pluto midheaven. This is what I've seen with Pluto midheaven. People can quite quickly climb maybe their career. They can get into powerful positions. This is the good one. But immediately, what also starts happening is there can be a lot of jealousy around them because they achieve that position. Generally, Pluto, let's say, for example, let's say you do a lot of social media. Again, it can increase your visibility quite suddenly, but it can also bring in people who are, let's say, for your followers, who are more sketchy. Let's put it this
Have
way,
their own
like
agendas. Yeah.
have their own agendas, and they are jealous, and they, like, for example, this is about a woman. She was a social media at that time, social media influencer. She started getting, like, let's say, let's give it like it is. They started getting creeps sliding into their DMs a lot,
Stalkers.
like a lot. Oh, very strange,
Yeah,
very strange
stalkers.
offer.
Yeah.
Stalkers. So this is what you need to consider. What will start to happen? With the Pluto AC line, I think it's important to mention, like, big ups and downs, identity crisis, a lot of transformations, magnetic pull with people, spiritual gifts opening. Now, like with Pluto, it's always like very up and down. It's not, you think it's going to be, I'll get you into a powerful position and it's all going to be great, but you have to take the negative always with Pluto.
Well, if your Pluto is only has supportive aspects, it's a whole other thing. But if it does contain hard aspects, you got to also bear, you know, the energetic manifestation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you, let's say if you have a lot of supportive aspect like planets like near like Venus or Jupiter, which is would be amazing. That would be like a whole other story. But just keep in mind like the Pluto negative side as well. If you like choose based on that. Neptune descendant line is an interesting one. It can bring actually healing to your relationships and partnerships, but with Neptune, it's very much can be manipulative partners, manipulated in contracts, in deals. You attract these types of uh, not so good willing people who want to maybe get only their needs met or their yeah basically their needs met in that situation in that contract, and you can be deceived easily by a
Well,
partner who's
or you only see what you want to see within them.
yeah you can really like if you have problems anyway with assessing potential partners, I wouldn't go to a Neptune descendant line. It's a it will confuse you even more and it will bring you even more of that same thing. Like from a positive perspective, spiritual partnerships is possible. Yeah, I wrote here only with clear boundaries as well, but Neptune dissolves boundaries, so it's very difficult to have very clear boundaries there. Okay, let's move Uranus descendant line. Uranus, I think I meant to write here Uranus IC line. So descendant is DC. So descendant and Uranus descendant and IC lines. Yeah, so instability in partnerships. There can be sudden breakups, especially when we're talking about contracts and marriages, even long-term relationships and partnerships. Good thing is it can attract, these eccentric partnerships and partnerships can appear suddenly. um yeah, like if you're looking to be in an open relationship, which I'm happily married in a monogamous relationship, then I'm staying away from Uranus DC line basically as much as possible. But if you're into that polyamory thing, that's one way to go.
Well,
And
also, I
yeah,
have
right.
seen people with well-aspected Uranus. If I actually shift them to the DC line, the descendant line, and I have actually gotten feedback from clients that they actually found a mate they get married to that enabled them to jump social class because Uranus has got that jump,
It
that bump
got
up.
yeah.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, definitely can. You can even like get a contract if like so all of a sudden get a contract that, gets you a lot of clients, for example. So Uranus, again, like Donny said, if it's good, well aspected, sure, don't, take this so dramatically. If there's negative aspects, it can be more difficult to manage. And when it's on the IC line, again, there's can be like this anxiety constantly there.
Well, I mean, if
Yeah,
you're working for an airline
that's
or
then it's fine.
places that require lots of travel,
Yeah,
and if that place offers like, a lot of connections, Uranus IC line can actually provide that as well. So,
yeah. So the main thing is there are good things that can happen even with let's say harder placements.
yeah.
Basically, is there's a lot of things that can happen well as well. Just be careful and you just be aware of the negatives. Then it's easier to when Saturn is, for example, on the IC line, you have to do a lot of home transformations and you feel just emotionally unhappy. Just and other good things might come out of it, but just don't be kind of surprised if some of that starts happening. Yeah, so next one, Mars IC line, honorable mention, Mars DC line. a lot of restlessness definitely in the household definitely can bring like fighting into the home space, like physical. No, not always physical, but it's just aggression. Even verbal fights are more aggressive. So yeah, I mean, sexual relationships definitely. It's not, bad for that, for the DC line especially. If you're looking for that, and then gets out of you that stagnant home life and then energizes you emotionally, but it can be very anxious, and just have to do everything. Like physically have to do a lot to ground that Martian energy. Yeah, and an honorable mention here is, like, for a lone relocating woman is to best to avoid Pluto in the 12th house. Especially if bad aspects. It's a difficult placement to have. I just want to mention, like, an honorable mention. I can't remember the astrologer's name. This was on Twitter, and they shared a lot of stories, client stories. And luckily, I haven't seen this personally, but there were, let's say, people commenting under this as well, women especially, who had very difficult experiences with Pluto in the 12th house. Again, traveling alone in strange countries. So I think you really need to think, if you're a woman relocating alone, traveling alone, maybe for a longer period of time, you need to check if your Pluto is going into the 12th house, especially close to the 12th house cusp, if we're talking about, Placidus or Campanus house systems. And um, really understand, like, the cultures you're going into as well, although it doesn't always help to navigate the really negative manifestations of what can happen. um it still might help you a little bit, so please be careful with this aspect,
I mean,
or
together
confirmation.
with Pluto in the 12, Pluto in the 8 as well, you gotta be careful.
Yeah,
Because you may step into like a syndicate ring that you don't want to get involved with, something of that nature. And
yeah,
now Pluto is an Aquarius. So the rise of all this kind of organized crime syndicates will become more powerful as the world like plunges into uncertainty. People are still trying to survive, looking for all kinds of ways to exploit people.
yeah,
So Pluto in the 8th and 12th, I would be it's like a red flag to me naturally. Yeah.
yeah, definitely would avoid if possible.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, and on that note, I will tell you a little bit about one of the big projects I've been working on for a long time.
By the way, Ian is
And
in IT. That's why
yes,
he's
I
doing
have a
this.
I have a tech background, so I do a lot of, let's say, technical things as well in my life. So this is why I'm kind of well versed in both worlds, astrology and technology. And this is one of the reasons why me and some of my associates developed the Benefic app. Our vision is to make astrology relatable to everyone, to make it as easily understandable and affordable for most people, or everyone, hopefully. So Benefic is the first version for you guys. It's free, so you can use it for free forever. But there's a paid option as well, where you can just look ahead for your transits, for what's affecting you daily, what's affecting you weekly, monthly, yearly. But there's a lot of free stuff on the app. It will give you a full, almost a entire analysis of your natal chart as well. So there's a lot of good stuff happening on Benefic, and yeah, go and download it, try it out uh, on Google Play. But now onwards with our topic, and internal dues. So we've covered a lot of external events. During these internal dues, we will have a lot of external manifestations as well. but we want to make ourselves feel better, feel more secure, feel more happy and safe. So what should we do? Where should we go, etc.? Moon IC line. Moon IC line, I generally like, especially for settling down, raising a family, but there can be a lot of healing of the inner child, the early childhood, let's say maybe woundings. And definitely there's a more of an emotional bond to that place, and then it can be developed. So this is a good place to be if your moon isn't completely smashed. If it's, maybe if it's in Aries or Scorpio and it has a lot of difficult aspects, maybe maybe avoid it. But if it's at least decent, you can definitely go with it. Jupiter IC line. Jupiter IC line, I also really like, and this one is also, if you're starting a family, if you're a woman, both Moon and Jupiter IC lines, for me, for clients, have brought, let's say, pregnancies, have brought in more children. So again, I'll give you a story. Another story is with a client is, I was looking at their chart and relocation was in the cards, and even Jupiter was transiting their IC, and they had, I gave them like there's a high possibility of pregnancy because I had seen this so many times. And they actually, what they ended up doing was, they ended up relocating and getting pregnant. So it can happen both ways as well. A lot can happen all at once. So Jupiter IC, definitely feel happier, more optimism at home, family life enhanced, emotional happiness, emotional security enhanced. This is when we want to enhance it. These types of qualities in our life. Jupiter IC line is one of the best ones, definitely. Property, maybe more of an external manifestation as well.
Or Jupiter IC can be that you want to move to a place that you can truly have a personal life of yours that you cherish. So, for example, I've seen people who've got Jupiter like in the upper half of the wheel. That means from house
Mm,
7 to 12, and you're always in the public eye. It can be pretty tiring to keep a lookout on what message are you sending out to the world at large, essentially. And for holiday, for example, they would want a Jupiter IC line to kind of go back into themselves and settle their
yeah,
personal life. To put those in order, they may actually temporarily go to a Jupiter IC place in order to give more emphasis on their internal life aspects rather than what they project out there. So they don't have to really be that self-conscious.
yeah, I like it. I like it. This can be a change of pace, definitely. And I also want to say, because Jupiter, if it's not, completely smashed, and even if it's smashed completely, like it's still Jupiter. Um, it will also, if you're looking to again heal some of that very deep wounding, this can mean like you relocate or travel to that location. Maybe you're there for more than a few months. This can really bring in the teachers, Jupiter, mm, to help you heal and release some of these old wounds, which we are constantly doing anyway. Okay, Venus IC line, again brings a lot of harmony, beauty, comfort into the home life. Relationships usually with the family improve again. This is important when we want to, let's say maybe natally you have Mars there. on the IC line. There's a lot of aggression, maybe fighting at home. You want change of pace. You want your family's life to be more stable, more harmonious, the relationships be pleasant instead of fighting. You can go to a Venus IC line. Yeah. And like one important piece of information here is like Airbnbs. Maybe that's a more of an external manifestation, but if you want to do that, you can also Venus IC line is good one. Yeah.
Jupiter IC as well. Yeah.
Jupiter IC, definitely.
Moon and
Similar.
IC as well.
Moon IC. Yeah. all are good for that. Sun IC. So Sun IC is a bit of a different one, but it does. What I've seen with Sun IC is it energizes the people there, really vitalizes them. It gives them an emotional boost. When again, like when the sun is like very, very, very bad, maybe avoid it, but still it's the sun. Sun is good. So it does. If you're wanting to energize yourself emotionally, kind of wake up from some sort of slump, maybe there's a harder transit going on. Again, Sun IC line, good for that. Yeah, okay. Let's move onwards from this. So internal don'ts. This is a much more deeper topic, and I will tell you why. So Pluto IC line. So as a person, this is my personal story. I give a personal story as well. I just had this transit, like many Libras did, many Libra ascendants did have Pluto IC transit. I would say with Pluto square moon, this is one of the most difficult transits you will likely face in your lifetime if you face it. It's a constant just emotional turmoil, anxiety, fears that you didn't even know existed come to the surface. I remember during this transit, obviously there were other things happening, but I was kind of trying to ground that energy, and I was reading a lot about like very dark things like mobsters and murders and other things, but the paranoia and the fear of even like usually like where I'm at right now, we don't even have to lock doors. The doors are unlocked. Everything is super safe. But like just a very plain example, you're so much in that fear, you start locking doors, you start locking the windows, you start putting the shades on. You're like, how can I make myself feel a little safer? Is basically Pluto IC. Now, I'm not even going to okay, I'm going to mention like the psychological issues, the emotional wounding, the things you didn't even know hurt you so much. Like these are there and they're on the surface and they're constantly hurting you. They're nagging you. It's just a lot of pain and stress. Now, if you consider all of this, this is like not a place where you want to be long term. Like if you have to choose it, if you have to go there, like again, psychological rebirth, 100% will happen. Definitely will happen. Deep ancestral healing again will happen. A lot of those issues will surface. Now, major property transformation, if you want to do that, let's say as a business, you can, but keep in mind all the other negative things that will also come. Like, again, maybe if your Pluto is great, like Donnie mentioned earlier with other aspects, when Pluto is really good, it can definitely bring you like success and luck with property. And like the transformations can be a little easier with the supportive aspects of your Pluto, but it's still Pluto. Yeah, I don't know, Donnie, do you have anything about the Pluto IC you want to add? Or
I mean, if you want to do like extensive home renovation, I find Pluto IC as supportive. Perhaps you want to redo your whole place from the ground up in order to increase its value on the market. Pluto IC can actually be supported, but of course, you need to look at your Pluto aspects. Yeah.
Yeah, like if your Pluto is conjunct Jupiter, then probably it's a good idea. Yeah, otherwise there can be difficult things. Now, Neptune IC line. This is, as a person who is living with Neptune in the fourth house. Again, this is a personal story, but because I have Neptune in the fourth house, I also, as clients, I attract a lot of people who have Neptune on the IC line. So basically, I would say I'm the master of Neptune in the fourth, or Neptune IC line. Let's put it that way. I always find it difficult to even talk about this. Now, a lot of let's give some external manifestation. Water leaks, water issues, water damages to some of the properties where you are living at. This can mean like toilets breaking, clogging, even floods. If you're living in some strange place, it can happen. Another negative side is like losing your complete emotional boundaries and just absorbing all the energy there is from other people, being manipulated by your family. This is a big one, and this is a very, especially if your Neptune has difficult aspects, it will start to happen. And this might be even confusing. Like, let's say you move and relocate to a place where you have Neptune on the IC. Your family relationships before that were really good, and now all of a sudden, what starts to happen, and this might be really difficult for people to hear. These good willing people who were so good willing before, they might start to twist and turn. They might start to manipulate you. They might start even unfortunately, like at a certain age, Neptune in the fourth house is like mental illness in the family. So, or let's say spiritual gifts in the family. This is also, it can be passed through, but especially if you're relocating there, it can mean that as well. Somebody in the family might develop this. But okay, let's talk about a little bit about the positive sides. Spiritual capabilities heightened, definitely. Like a contemplative retreat, like solitude, like islands are definitely good. If you go to an island, it will actually make it almost like yeah, you'll feel the island fever or whatever, but it also can be like a good escape for your emotional health. Definitely, like anything with the seaside is good. Yeah, so spiritual capabilities and like emotional healing can still happen with Neptune in near the IC. But again, remember all of that negative stuff as well, and depending on who you're going with, etc. There's a lot of details there with the Neptune IC that I would
I mean,
be
if
careful for.
Neptune is about sensitivity, then IC, it brings so much more and it amplifies your inner sensitivity. And not to forget that the IC and MC is an axis. So if you actually put Neptune on basically any planets on the IC, it opposes the MC. If I think about Neptune IC in this case, there can be too much inner sensitivity that it may be hard for you, or it can be overwhelming to deal with the outer pressures and demands of life. That's what I see for Neptune IC in particular.
Yeah, well, you will absorb everything into yourself, and the problem becomes how you cleanse yourself, how you differentiate what is yours and what is other people's. Because this is where it really blurs the lines. You think it's yours, you feel it's yours, but it's somebody else's entirely, and but you can get lost in it. Um, and you really have to be, good at it to start understanding like what is happening with me, instead of what is happening. Am I feeling, the pain of my spouse, or am I feeling like you're at a grocery store and you start like getting angry, no, for no reason? Like most likely it's not you. So this needs a lot of mastery.
And
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
it may also be that you're feeling that you have to give up your personal life, Neptune IC, in order to fulfill some kind of outer idea of what you should be doing with your life as well. It has got that um, dynamics because we're talking about one half of an axis, the MCIC axis. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Neptune can dissolve,
Yeah.
guys. So okay, Saturn IC line. This is again, coming from personal experience, but also working with clients. It's a lot of, it can be a lot of isolation, heaviness at home, emotional heaviness. Everything seems kind of heavy. There's a lot of like people around you can't seem to understand why it's even there. There's again because the IC and the fourth house, it's a lot to do with our early childhood. So whatever is there or was there will come to the surface, and Saturn wants you to actually, like the ideal situation, Saturn wants you to get a hold of this, wants you to get it, wants you to master it, but it comes through this feeling of constant pain and mastery of that, and understanding why these things happen to you, and then navigating, start making, like Saturn is organization, or organizing something. If you manage to like shift through it, organize these things, organize a almost like a plan forward for your emotional life, routines to get you out of these sticky situations internally, then it starts to get better. Yeah, but again, one thing I wanted to mention with Saturn near the IC, it's like caretaking obligations can happen. Like maybe somebody in your family is getting older, or there's some other situation where you need to take a lot of care for your family. Sometimes it can be children, sometimes it can be something else, but it can be a lot of duties there, which again brings the heaviness down. So again, have a think. Like Saturn, ideally, we want somewhere in the 12th or 3rd or ninth or 6th, like Donnie mentioned. It's not going to be only easy pickings, even with those placements, but it kind of dials down the Saturn influence. Yeah. So okay. So distance matters. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this as well. So on the screenshot here, you can see one of the relocations I personally did. It's easier to just talk about it, but like you can see the IC, Saturn IC, Uranus IC lines that I marked out there, and the red dot is representing where I lived for a little while, like a year and a half or something. Um, so you can see, so I calculated the distance approximately from the lines. It's around 600 kilometers. But I've had people living closer also and a little further away, and they still have felt the influence. So I wanted to bring this as well to you. When you start looking at the lines, let's say MCIC, whatever lines you're looking at, and you're starting to see like, maybe this difficult thing or difficult influence won't be such a burden or won't influence me. that much. It can actually, if you're close to it or close enough to it, and I would give definitely like 600 easily. It will influence kilometers. You have to put this into miles yourself, unfortunately. Multiply it. So have a think, basically, is what I'm saying. If you want, and how close to these lines you want to move, I would definitely recommend like 1,000 kilometers, if there's a difficult line there. And also remember, we've talked about this a couple of times now, what houses do these influences or planets fall into? It will also give the energy to the place and give the energy to the experience you're going to have.
I think also that if a planet is bang on an angle, it can be too much. So
It
I
can be a
always
lot.
give like a 1 to 2 degree deviation to kind of like ease off the edge. For example, like if you see like a Jupiter MC line and you go to a place that's bang on, like down to the degree or less than half a degree to conjunct the MC can be, it can be overwhelming at times. So do give yourself like a 1 to 2 degree deviation. I would say up to 3 degrees. You will still feel the planetary energy on that angle when you go to that place. Because I've seen people, it's like, oh, I've got Jupiter, whatever angle line, and they go to that place and they did not actually have a good time because it's bang on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much of that energy, because like I like to always compare these angles that we have in our charts with like they're energetic doorways into that part of our lives. And imagine an energetic doorway just being completely smashed and overloaded with some sort of energy. There's just too much of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, act accordingly. Let me see. Okay, so I think that's it from the slides. Yeah, thank you from me. You can find me on my website. You get the Benefic app definitely, and I think Donnie's details will be underneath the videos,
And
websites, everything. Oh,
so I think
one
for
more
my,
thing.
yeah.
Sorry, one more thing. I wanted to plug your Facebook channel as well, Donnie Real Talk. If you can get access, Donnie, maybe you can talk about this. This
Oh
is a
yeah, I
really
mean, I
good
just started like
resource.
a broadcast channel, and it's like if you want astrology on the go, because I actually formulate posts. That's why pardon me for the occasional like grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes because I'm just typing on the go. Because just certain things just hit me, and my broadcast channel is the perfect place to actually block it down before I refine you know, before I refine the information to become like longer posts for that. And so I've got it on Instagram and Facebook if you want to join. And I'll be including those links in the description box below. So for what I want to, should I say, show the audience pertaining to this topic, relocation astrology, particularly ACG or astrocartography, I've got my personal example because I'll be going somewhere for my upcoming Jupiter return in Cancer. And this is my natal chart. And so with anything, you would like to look at your natal potential, what it actually guarantees you. And so I've got Jupiter in the 10th house, exalted conjunct Venus. It may seemingly look very good, but if you actually examine the aspects, then it paints like a different story because it is still squaring Pluto. It does trine Uranus, which can be nice because I'm always looking for change. And also Uranus is also the planet of astrology. But having said that, my Jupiter is also part of a larger aspect pattern because I do have Jupiter semi-squaring Mars and Saturn and also semi-squaring Moon on Algol. So it forms like an aspect pattern, like this triangle here. Semi-squares are irritations that always follow you. It's an itch you can't scratch, that kind of energy. And so it is like a mixed bag, but I think I can overcome this. And I'm old enough. So I'm in my fourth Jupiter return, so I'm turning, 47-ish. I'm already age 47. So if you just calculate using my birthday, you know the gist. And if I were to spend it in Singapore, I will have a Scorpio rising with Jupiter in the ninth house, which can be great because it's the natural house of Jupiter. Jupiter's house of joy is in the 11th, by the way. So it seemingly looks fine. It's in the ninth house, is exalted, is conjunct the moon exactly. However, there can be like a lack of aspects to it because I don't see Moon and Jupiter conjunction aspecting anything very tightly. It just separated with that Saturn and Neptune, hallelujah. So it can be nice, but ninth house is also about foreign lands, crossing the international border. And this is what sets me on a rabbit hole, you can say that, to go to some place to perhaps identify a suitable place for me to spend my Jupiter return in on this day, the first day of Leo season, when the sun is at 0 degrees, by the way. So I'm applying relocation astrology, in this case, to my Jupiter return. And by the way, a Jupiter return lasts for a good, like, close to 12 years. So it's always good to look at how I want my next 12 years to be till I reach close to 60, that is. And I have decided to go to this place, which is Madrid, Spain, in which I'll be spending my Jupiter return at. So I relocated my natal chart to see, what's actually going on. And my Jupiter return has got that Moon and Jupiter in Singapore is in the ninth house, but I've shifted it to the 12th house. Many people will be asking me why the 12th house, in the 12th house, all those things, that's not essentially good. But if you have a benefit in the 12th house, it actually talks about what I want in terms of spiritual evolution and perhaps like leaps and bounds in that aspect. And 12th house with that Jupiter there, in my Jupiter return chart, can also be guardian angel having my back when it's conjuncting the moon as well, probably a female figure of sorts. And I've also plotted, in this case, certain Arabic lots or parts. And in this chart, for example, I've got sun that is angular, that's rising in Leo, is in dignity. And sun ascendant conjunction is one of those good ones, good stuff that I want to manifest for myself. Although it's opposing Pluto, I can't change that. So this comes with it the limitations of what we discussed earlier. But having said that, the sun is also forming harmonious aspects with Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn, forming what we call a cradle aspect pattern. So it is still supported in a lot of ways. Yes, there's an opposition to Pluto, but I must also look at the good stuff as well. It can be that I feel very inspired with that Neptune and Saturn in the ninth house over in Madrid, Spain, and also Uranus in the 11th house of like fan base, my groupies, people who support me along the way, or just networking, just connections in general. And by the way, over in Madrid, Spain, I've got part of Eros indicated by this letter P that's almost exactly conjunct Uranus, which co-rules Pluto and descendant. So I may be even meeting someone potentially very influential there. That can be part of my group, you know, or 11th house is also about the internet as well. So this can be extending my internet outreach, for example. And not to forget that part of Eros is also like what feeds your spirit and what leads you down the path of more creation. Of course, Eros talks about relationships and all that, but part of Eros is also talking about creation, that primal energy of creation. And with that Uranus, it supercharges it. This is probably brought about or from the people that I meet over there who may be interested in what I do. That's influential as well on the internet. So if I actually put those two charts together, let me see if I've got that chart. If I relocate both charts to Madrid, Spain, with the inner wheel as my Jupiter return relocated to that locality, you can see that a lot of things are interconnected. Uranus is on top of my chart ruler, natally, in Singapore, that is. That's Mercury. And this really supersedes my wish to take my practice and also perhaps the later part of my life elsewhere to other parts of the world. So 12th house is one of those houses where it can help. 9th house and 12th house are both ruled by Jupiter because it's the natural domain of like Sagittarius and Pisces anyways. So this is what I have in terms of for the audience. So do you have anything more that you want to say pertaining to this?
I think I would like to kind of wish almost everybody some groundedness, to analyze, to be grounded when you look at everything that's going on in the world, when you look at places to relocate to, with a very almost like a calm, peaceful demeanor from that space. Because otherwise, if you start doing that from fear, it's easy to do it from fear right now.